Well, hello there. It's the Archivist from TradingCardArchives.com, and I am here this morning with my coffee, technically cards and coffee again, on the last day of my vacation. So this is the last day of my week-long Thanksgiving vacation. I gotta go back to work tomorrow. I'm a little depressed, but whatever. We're gonna push through. It'll be okay. For now, we're gonna have fun while we can. And so, what I thought we would do this morning, just to get things started, and also because it's like Black Friday, which is this weird holiday in America where, well, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, it's like this long thing now, where all the stores have all these like big sales, right? And that includes trading card stuff. And so AliExpress, of course, is having a big sale with their cards and everything. And that's what we usually talk about and think about on the channel, is like all the cool cards, and we got to get the latest sets and everything, right? But there's another side to the hobby that I try to show actually on the channel as much as I can. But I don't really focus on it. And people ask questions about it all the time. It's really common that I get email questions or video comments asking me, hey, how do you protect your cards? How do you organize your cards? What sleeves do you use? Where do you buy your top loaders? Where do you get those cool gloves? All kinds of questions like this, right? Actually, no one's ever asked about the gloves, but I figured I'd show you anyway, because I know you all care. Just kidding. Anyway, so today we're going to focus today on supplies. So this video is going to be about supplies, and I kind of have three sections planned. We're going to start with the basics, which is protecting cards. So this is basically like, how do you get the cards out of a pack? How do you put them in a sleeve, put them in a top loader? What is a top loader? What are some other more exotic ways to protect cards? Like, what is this thing? I'll explain what that is. I can show you where all this stuff comes from, and sort of help you understand the basics of sort of protecting a collection, right? Because when you pull that $50 card, if you then just throw it in a shoebox and your cat pees on it, it didn't do you any good, right? You lost everything basically. So you need to protect your cards, and so that's what I'll be teaching you first. Then the next part will be on storing cards. So that's that shoebox case, right? There's better ways to store cards. They're basically shoeboxes, but they're fancy shoeboxes, right? And so I'm going to show you all the fancy shoeboxes that I use, and the different kinds. And there's actually like a lot of different kinds of boxes. I think it'll surprise you. It's not just one. There's like 3 or 4 different kinds of boxes that I use for different purposes, right? And so I'll show you that. And then the final section will be on organizing and shipping cards. And so I'm going to kind of show you how I organized the entire archives, because I did that over this it actually took me 2 months to do it, but I was very slow. I only worked maybe like 1 day a week. But yeah, I organized the entire archives, and it's perfectly organized, and it's organized in a scalable way. And so I'll show you how you can do that too. I know no one else out there has as much as I do. I have over 140 different franchises, not sets, like franchises, right? So like One Piece is a franchise with 20 sets. A Dragon Ball is a franchise with 20 sets, right? So I have 140 franchises. Each of those has multiple sets. So it's hundreds and hundreds of sets that I have to organize here. And I'll show you how I did that. Okay, so let's get started. Again, this is Cars and Coffee. It's actually my first video of the day, so my coffee cup's still very full. And let's get to the basics. So before we talk about any of the stuff you see on top of the mat here, I actually want to talk about the mat. So this, believe it or not, this mat right here, this is part of caring for and protecting the cards. Now you'll notice that I don't just open the cards onto a bare table. Like underneath this mat is just a wooden table, right? And the reason I do that is because the table is a harsher surface. It scratches. If you hit the edge of the card on the table, you could scratch some of the printing ink from the edge of the card. I've seen it happen before. I've seen like major breakers drop cards on their tables, and crack the edges of a card that had like a gold edge or something. And it's heartbreaking, but it happens. And you can, with very, very minimal cost. I mean, these things cost like $40. Well, I got a fancy one, so it's like $40. But I think if you get a pre-printed mat at Walmart or something, it's going to cost you like $10, $12. When I started the channel, I was actually using a Gyarados card Pokemon mat. You can use that. That's totally fine. Any soft surface will work. Now, the key is you've got to keep it dust free. And so if you've ever watched me here, you know that I'm constantly doing what I'm doing right now, which is picking dust off my mat. I also use cat rollers to roll the dust off the mat before every video. So it's really important, I think, to keep that dust off. That's just so that the dust doesn't scratch the card if you move the card across the table, right? But really, you should never have bare cards touching any surface, right? And that includes your skin. And so let's move on then to the gloves, which is, I guess, one of the more controversial aspects of how I do things here. Not the most controversial, but one of the more controversial. But yeah, I wear gloves here on the channel. You've seen me do that from the very first day. The only times I don't wear gloves is if I'm not handling cards. So anytime I'm handling cards, even in sleeves, I will be wearing gloves. And that's just because your skin has oil on it. Even if you wash your hands, you still will have oil. It's natural. It's not weird or strange. It's natural. You probably can't really even feel it, but it's there all the time. And if you have a card that isn't coated, like a bare canvas style card or piece of paper, and you just hold it between your fingers for about a minute, you'll stain it. Like, it doesn't take very long, right? And again, that doesn't mean you're dirty, right? That's just natural. You could have just washed your hands. That'll still happen because the oil is in your skin, right? So wearing a gloves like this stops that from happening, right? And so now I don't have to worry. I can hold the card as long as I want. I can touch it. I can do anything I want, and it's always safe, right? So for me, it's just a level of safety, right? I don't have to worry about how I'm handling the cards if I'm wearing gloves. Now, as far as what gloves you wear, it doesn't matter, right? A lot of people will wear those really fancy black gloves that I know are very fancy and cool, and that's great. You can wear those. Breakers wear those; they're fun. I've seen white ones; those are cool too. Blue is a very traditional color. I happen to like purple, so I got the lavender ones. Any brand is fine. I just got like kind of the cheapest powder free. You don't want any kind of gunk on the glove, or it's, you're defeating the purpose of the glove. And then just buy them in bulk. Like, I buy 200 at a time. Make sure to get the right size though. Get like one size too big. You'll see these are a little bit big on me. I prefer that as to too small. But anyway, that's gloves, which I knew would be a huge part of the video, because and people don't think about it, but there it is. Okay, now basic protection, right? So you've opened your pack, and you know that for me, when I'm opening packs, which I'm not going to open this pack because this pack is worth like $500, so I'm not going to open this pack. But this is a very, very expensive pack of My Little Pony cards. But these packs from China are different from the packs you're used to if you've opened trading cards in the West. In the West, trading card packs very easy to just tear. You can just tear them open, rip them apart, and you usually won't hurt the card, although you sometimes will, so be careful, right? These you can't really tear. You could, but it's very difficult to tear, and there's a good chance you're going to bend a card or chip a corner or something if you try. And so what I do is I cut them. And so if you feel in there, you'll feel where the card is and where the cards aren't at the top. And so I just take a small pair of precision scissors. You could use any scissors, but I like to use precise, very small scissors. And you just kind of cut across the top there, so you don't cut the card. And then the cards will just fall right out the pack, and you don't have to worry about breaking the card or anything. So that's how I open them. And once you have them open, you want to get them in a sleeve as quickly as possible. And so I've got a Whitebeard card here from One Piece, which I pulled yesterday. And it's in a sleeve. And all a sleeve is a piece of plastic that the card goes inside of, right? It's just clear plastic. It doesn't, it doesn't really hurt the visibility of the card, although, yeah, I mean, some cards look cooler without the sleeves, and you can always take them out to show people. But for the most part, you want them in that sleeve as much as possible, and that's just to keep dust from getting on it, or any kind of, even at this point, if I spilled a little water, it wouldn't matter. Now, water could still get in the top of this, right? So this isn't perfectly protected. And for very expensive cards and for shipping cards, we will also often double sleeve the card. And what that means is we sleeve it like this, and then we put another sleeve on over top the other direction. And that way you could spill water on it and water can't get through the two sleeves, right? So the card is totally protected in that case. But for the most part, we do a single sleeve like this. Now, when you have a card that is a little bit more rare or expensive or valuable, or you just want to protect it even more, right? The next thing we do is called top loading the card. And this is a top loader. This is a standard size top loader, which just means it's 39 point. And the key to a top loader is, you see these edges? They're thick plastic. So while this bends, it won't bend in half. You'd have to break it, basically. And so what we do then is we put the cards into the top loader, like that, with the sleeve, right? So you want the sleeve on it too, because it's very important that it be sleeved inside the top loader. But now that card is what I would call, like, that's my basic protection for a card, right? Sleeved and top loaded like that. That card is well protected and kind of like ready to ship too. If you wanted to ship this to someone, you could actually put that in an envelope and ship it. It would be fine. It'll go through machines just fine, because it can bend a little bit, but it won't bend or break, right? You might want to put a little painter's tape over the top, just so in case the card is loose, it won't fall out the top. Although most of the time, if you pick the correct size top loader, that won't happen, and the cards will be nice and safe in there. Now, I mentioned size because that is a big deal, right? I've called these standard sleeves and standard top loaders. That term is right here on the packs, and you'll see it on all kinds of products that you see in stores. Standard means 35 point. And so 35 point is a kind of thickness for cards. And I can show you a thickness. Yeah, here's a thickness chart. And so this is kind of a thickness chart here. And so 20 to 30 point is basically your standard paper, right? So any piece of paper, trading card you get is usually going to be in that 20 to 30 point range. That'll fit in standard sleeves and standard top loaders just fine. Now, the lower the point, like a 20 point card, is going to be loose in a standard top loader. It'll fall out, and so you want to tape it at the top, but a 30 point won't, like this. But once you get up into the 50s, you'll see that they break it at the 59 point, which is, I think, what these are. Yeah, these are 59 point here. So once your card is 59 point thick, that's how thick that is, that little orange line there, it won't fit in this at all. If you try, you'll damage the card. You won't even be able to push it in there. You'll break the card if you try. And so you need the thicker top loader to hold it. And so that's what these are, right? And so I just have slightly thicker top loaders. You can barely even tell, because they're like so slightly thicker. We have many of them, but here's some of those. Yeah, so this is the thicker one here. This is a 59 point. And so I'll show you what would happen if I put, well, I won't use that same card because we already top loaded that one, but here's another card from that same one-piece set. It's a standard thickness card again, but if I put it in the thicker top loader, you'll see it'll just fall right out, right? It won't stay in there very well. So you don't want to use thicker top loaders if you don't have to, basically. They also cost more, right? You get less top loaders for your dollars. So you want to use the correct size top loader for that reason too, for cost reasons. It's the same with sleeves, right? When you have a really thick card, like a 59 point or a 100 point card, they won't fit in a standard sleeve anymore. And so you need to have some thicker sleeves too. And so here in the archives, I only use two sleeve sizes. I have lots of top loader sizes. I'll show you all those. But I only use two sleeve sizes. I use standard sleeves for like 90% of my cards. And then I use thick sleeves. So thick is a term, and you'll see that a lot. Voltex is just a brand. But these are 130 point cards, sleeves. And really, they'll fit up to like 200 point, no problem. So basically what I do is if the card is too thick for this, it goes in one of these. And I don't have any other type of sleeve. I only have those two types. So for sleeves, it's, you know, relatively simple in that sense, right? That we just have the thick and the thin kind of sleeves. And I'll show you this card here because this card is kind of wild too. So this is one of the thickest cards I have. It's a Green Bay Packers relic autograph card, numbered, has like a metal gold frame, but it's just crazy thick, right? And so this would never fit in any standard top loader at all. So you need these like crazy thick ones like this. And so this is a 130 point top loader. And that's what I use for my really thick relic cards. And so that's the thickest one I have. I don't have any higher than that, but you can see from that box I showed you that they do make this company, BCW, which I'll show you their website, they make up to 360 point. So that's 130 point is the one I used. But you can go all the way up to 360. So they do get much thicker than that. When I'm buying my standard top loaders, I buy them actually in packs of 100. So this is, well, actually this is a pack of 200 because you can get two of these. And so you'll get sleeves and top loaders in here. And so I buy these kind of in bulk, and I go through, you know, like one of these a month sort of. And that's standard size top loaders. This is then, you know, you get half as many in here, but these are the really thick ones. And then BCW is the company I use for my more obscure sizes. So I have 100 point here. I have some 59 points. You saw those. And then the 130 points here. All right, now let me show you a different type of way to protect cards, because what I've shown you so far is not the only way, right? Sleeves and top loaders is just sort of the standard, like that's the normal way to protect a card. But there's a different way, which is a little bit more advanced. And so this is kind of like a little coffin, if you can think of that for your card. It's called a one-touch. And the idea is that it's a magnetic, hard acrylic case. So this case is hard. It won't bend. So you cannot bend this case. And it is magnetically sealed. And so when you put a card in here, it's kind of like forever, right? You're kind of saying this card is forever going to be in this one-touch case, and it will never be removed, right? Dust isn't getting in there. Air really can't get in there. It's basically safe forever. The thing is, you know, whereas a top loader, I can get, you know, 100 top loaders for like $15. This costs $2 on its own, right? So you really want to make sure the cards you're putting in here are worth it. But it's great, and it works as a stand too. So you kind of have like a free stand, and the card will be very, very safe in there pretty much forever. So that's a one-touch. Here's an empty one for a thinner card. So they make different size one-touches as well. So you can see this, this one-touch is for thick cards. This one is for standard size cards. Now they also make one-touches for packs, which is, you know, an optional thing. You don't have to do this. It's something I do here in the archives. So for sets that I especially love and I want to like really preserve, I will preserve all the cards like I showed you, but I also preserve a pack. So I'll put one pack from each of the various sets So this is an SCP pack into a one touch. And so this is a one touch for packs. Kind of a neat, another neat sort of a supply that you can have. And just one more thing I want to show you before we move on to storage, the next section of the video. And this is a whole other, like a whole other kind of a thing. So top loaders are definitely the most popular style of protecting cards. But this is another thing. So this is called a card holder, which is, so it's not a top loader, but it's a card holder. It's slightly flexible, right? Slightly flexible. Not as rigid as a top loader. It doesn't have the rigid sides. These are cheaper. So these are a lot cheaper than top loaders. And they will still protect a card pretty well for shipping. And that's the primary purpose of something like this, is for shipping the card. And the reason it works so well is because when the card is inside there, it actually makes the edges more rigid than you'd think. And so it looks really flexible at first, but once you get a card in there, it's actually pretty well safe. And this is in fact the way that PSA, so if you do any grading, this is the way they want your cards submitted. They don't want them in top loaders. They want them in card savers like this. And it's mostly because it's easier to remove the card without damage. So anyway, another thing you can get, and another kind of supply that you can have. All right, so we've looked now at all the different kinds of ways to protect a card. Let me show you some websites now that I use and where I buy this stuff, and then we'll move on to storage. So the first here, this site is called Cardboard Gold, and this is a interesting site. So they make a lot of products, top loaders, sleeves. I get all of my card sleeves from here. You saw those card savers. I get those from here. The trick is, though, they aren't really set up to sell to consumers. They sell to businesses. And so if you're going to buy from them, you're buying a case. And really, you're buying like multiple cases, right? And so when I buy sleeves, I buy this many sleeves, right? I buy 100 packs of sleeves at a time, 10,000 sleeves, right? They only sell it by the case. And I know that seems like a crazy amount of sleeves, but for me in the archives, that's about a year. So I'm actually on my second case now. So again, I know that seems totally insane, but it is in fact, I do use it. Yeah, I use it. And so you can see in here now we have cases of top loaders too. So if you wanted to get, 1,000, 1,000 regular top loaders, right? You get that for $60. That's so cheap, right? Think about that. Like if you and your friends are all collecting cards, go in together, get one of these cases and just split it up, and you'll have all the supplies you need, and so much cheaper than at a store, right? But that's why stores can buy it at this price, and then they'll sell it to you for like 4 times that, right? Okay, the other main products I showed you today were Ultra Pros. So Ultra Pros is where I get my standard top loaders, and I usually buy them when they're on sale. So right now these aren't on sale, weirdly, but it is Black Friday, but they didn't put the top loaders on sale. But usually these will go on sale and they'll be like $20 or something, but this is what I will usually get. This exact set right here. And I get a lot of other products from Ultra Pro too. I'll show you some of the storage boxes and things I get from them later. Yeah, okay, so let's move on then to the storage round here. Let me kind of move a couple of things off of the table to make some space here. And then, yeah, the first thing I'll show you for storage is this. And so this is, let me get this correctly stored here. This is what you actually would buy, right? This is called a diamond storage box. You get these from Ultra Pro. You can see there logo on it there. You buy these in packs of 10. I buy packs of 10 of these. And I use these for like all of my temporary storage, right? So like constantly during the day, I'll have, you know, a little thing like here's some One Piece cards I pulled. They're just sitting in this, right? Here's some here's some Warhammer cards I haven't sorted yet. They're just sitting in this little box, right? And so I have all these little temporary storage areas like that, and I use these. I don't use it as a box, right? So when I buy a 10 set of these, I actually get 20 because I can use the top separately, right? And so I use these like for all of my day-to-day work, all the time when I'm moving cards around, I'm using those little boxes. Then let me pause and go get some of the larger boxes. I'll be right back. And I'm back. I've got my boxes here. And like I said, at the archives, we kind of have these like levels of products that we use. And so the small boxes that I showed you are used for, you know, moving cards around the office, putting them in different spots on the table, keeping little sets of like, this is the One Piece unsorted, this is the Dragon Ball unsorted, right? But they're little piles, right? Once we move past small piles, we need larger boxes. And so this is a 900 card box. I'm using this one to store sports cards right now. Actually, the Packers card goes in this particular box right here. You can see I've got some of my other like really thick cards are in here too. But this I use to store stuff like this, like things that won't fit in other kinds of boxes or stuff I haven't fully sorted yet. Or sometimes like I keep all my Gundam cards in here before I put them in a binder, that kind of thing. But these are, I consider still like a temporary storage, right? Whereas once you move up to these boxes, you're talking more permanent storage. And here even I have two levels. So this is a 3,000 card monster box from BCW, and I'll show you where I bought it from. Now this one doesn't have very many cards in it right now. It has some of my like weird sized cards that I can't fit anywhere else. Some of my like little statues and things. But mostly this is supplies that are in here. And so these little foam pads, you can probably guess, but they're used to sort of space out boxes. So if you have a box like this and you only have it half full, you want some of these foam pads to space it out so the cards don't flop around in there when you move the box. And so that's what all these pads are for. I use them in the other boxes that have all the cards. And so you'll see that this 3,000 one here has 4 rows, right? And so it's like 800 per row, I think is how it works. And so when I do my organization, what I'll do is I'll take a box like this and I'll put a letter on it. And so this is actually the A box right here. And so then this is row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4, right? And then the cards will go in there. And I'll show you with a numbering system and everything when I show you the way it's all organized in a minute. I wanted to show you the box first. And then there's one level above this, which is the like true monster box, the 5,000 one. And that's where you have 5 rows of 1,000 cards each. And so that's 5,000. Those are very big boxes. I have 2 of them here, but I didn't want to bring them on camera. But I can show them to you on the site that I bought them from. So that's over here. So BCW is the company, BCW there. They're the company that makes all sorts of different supplies for all kinds of hobbies. You can see here they make actually these like really fancy organization systems. Those are really kind of expensive. They make branded things, they make binders, they make tons of boxes, they make top loaders. All kinds of stuff like that. But the main thing I use them for are their monster boxes. And so you can see they have different, all different types of them. Yeah, and so here we get into the big ones. And so this is the 3,200 count. This is the main box that I use in the archives here. Either the full lid or the half lid one. But that's the primary box that I use. And then you can see here, this is the 5,000 one, right? And so this is the other one I'll use here. And so when I order these, I order them directly from BCW because getting these shipped is tricky because the cardboard is really big, and so it'll come in a huge package actually. I mean, it'll look like a freaking table on your porch. But they fold down into smaller boxes. They're still very big. But that's the main storage. And so the archives, to give you an idea, right now, after the full sorting I just did, the archives is 2 of those 5,000 boxes. So that's 10,000 cards. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of these 3,000 card boxes. And that's full of cards, right? So that's not counting this one that doesn't have a lot of cards in it. And so let's now move on to that. I'll show you how I organize things. So let's pause here again, and I'll come right back with a box of cards, and I'll show you my organization system. I'll be right back. All right, and so now let's talk about organizing cards. So we've talked about storing them, we've talked about protecting them. Let's talk about organizing them. And this has been a huge problem for me at the archives. I have done this at least 3 different waves and learned each time. And I think now I have a system that is good enough that I'll be able to use it hopefully forever. Although, like I said, it took a while to get here. And I would recommend, if you're just starting out, that you use a system like this and not some of the more obvious systems, right? And so if you think about it, when you're organizing cards, you've got to put the cards in a box, and then you've got to put some kind of like tab like this telling you where the different types of cards are, right? Like if your One Piece is here and your Dragon Ball's here. Now, what do you put on the tab, right? When I first started, I would write like Dragon Ball on there, right? Now, the trouble with that is I know that that's Dragon Ball, but I don't know what box or what row Dragon Ball is in. And the reason that matters is because over time, these sections grow. Like right now, this, 85 section here is only this big. But if I get another box of that set, it'll double, right? And won't fit anymore in this section. You'll notice these are all out of order, right? And that's because then what I'll do is I'll take this 85, I'll take it out of here, I'll move it into a different box where there is room, and then I'll add the extra cards to it, and I'll grow from there, right? But now it's in a totally different box. And so what do you do, right? So you can't have like, I tried doing like alphabetical, like this is going to be my A through G cards are all going to be in this box, but then it got too big, and I was like, okay, well now it's not A through G, now it's A through I, right? And so it gets really messy. And so in the end, what I've done now is I've created a system that completely abstracts the names of a set away from their locations in the archives. And so the way we do that is with numbers and boxes. And so each of the boxes, this is one of the boxes here, has a letter on it. So this is box D. And then box D has 4 rows, row 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? And so now I've got a spreadsheet here, and you can see that, let's find something that's in box D. So here's something that's in box D, right? My Little Pony bootleg cards are in box D, row 3, number 33, right? And so if we go back here, we can go over to row 3 here, and 33, you can't see it on camera, but it's right at the front of row 3. And that's where all of my bootleg My Little Pony cards are. So these are bootlegs. These aren't real Kaio My Little Pony cards are, but that's where they are, right? And so those little paper tabs, I buy those in packs of 150 on Amazon. You can get these really, really cheap. And they just write a number on there, right? And the cool thing about this is I can later on, I can decide that, okay, now I don't want number 33 to be bootleg My Little Pony anymore because I want the My Little Pony to be in a different place. I can make number 33 a different thing, and I just change it in the spreadsheet. Or if I need to move 33 to box E, I can move it to box E, and I just change the spreadsheet. And if somebody says, hey, I want to see all of your One Punch Man cards, now I can go to my spreadsheet and I go, okay, well, I need to open up box F and row 4. And that's where my One Punch Man cards are, right? So it makes it so easy now for me to keep everything nicely organized, right? Okay, so I showed you that. I want to show you a couple more things, and then we're going to talk about shipping, and then we'll be done. But let me pause here, and I'm going to get some binders out because we're going to look at binders next. I'll be right back. I've got all of my binders out. I wanted to show you one more thing though. This is a an actual magnifying glass, like Sherlock Holmes style, right? It's an interesting one though because you can turn it on if I don't have it charged right now, but and it'll have a light, so you can use light. And the reason I have this is to check card numbers. And so on a lot of cards, it can be. I mean, this one's pretty easy, I guess. But you kind of want to like check, you know, for if there's a code or what is it, on the back maybe, you know, someone's looking for a very specific version of a card. Oh, there's a code down there, right? 007. You are 007, right? So uh, that's kind of what I use that for. I actually use this every single day. So that's why I wanted to show it to you because I know it seems weird, but with trading cards and especially cards that have a lot of foil and reflection on them and things, a magnifying glass like that can be a lifesaver. I know your phone can magnify and everything, but trust me, like having a dedicated magnifying glass has helped me so much. I use it all the time, as weird as it seems. Okay, now to binders. This is probably what most people think of as the main way to store cards. And I do store a lot of cards in binders. You can see I have a lot of binders here. I actually have probably like 20 binders. Uh, but binders are more for showing off, right? And so when I put cards in a binder, I do it so that I can show people the cards very quickly and easily at an event or if they visit my house or something like that, right? The boxes are for longer term storage, but the binders are for cards that I want to be able to show off all the time, right? And so this binder I wanted to show you. You've probably already seen it, but this was a redemption actually. So this was a prize, and it's a nice binder, but I don't use it. And the reason I don't use it is because I just don't quite trust the pages here to hold the cards, right? So for me, this binder is a collector item. It's not actually a supply that I use. But I wanted to show you that anyway because I thought it was important. These are the styles of binders that I will actually use. I like binders that can zip closed, and that's just so that they're completely closed and nobody could, you know, look through this binder without me knowing, right? Because I'll hear them opening the zipper if they tried. Now this is an interesting thing because this is a top loader binder. This binder is meant to hold cards in top loaders. And I actually love binders like that because typically when you're showing off cards, you're showing off your best cards. They're probably in top loaders, right? And so having a top loader binder like this, especially a small one that I can, you know, I could take this anywhere, right? And show people, you know, a set of about 100 of my top cards could be in this binder, right? This binder is different. This is a 12x, not top loader. So these cards are not in top loaders. Top loaders won't fit in this binder, but it still has those welded pages and felt back pages. So I prefer the pages that have that felt back and aren't clear. And as you can see here, I've got some Marvel cards and some just some, you know, random stuff in here that I'm showing off. Here's some Chainsaw Man cards, things like that. But yeah, this is basically the kind of binder that I'll use for most of my showing, and I like these 12 card binders. This binder can hold about 700 cards, so very good binder for what they are. And I'll show you the brand and everything where I got that. This beast, this thing is huge. So this binder is about twice as big as the one I just showed you. This is the biggest binder I have. I have about 5 of these. This is a 9-up top loader binder. So it's for top loaders, but it's 9 per page. And so I use these for all my primary collections. So anything that I am personally collecting. So SCP, uh, why am I blanking? Spider-Man, Chainsaw Man, Gundam, of course. I keep in top-loaded binders like this, Star Wars, stuff like that. And so these are, for showing cards off. Although these binders are huge and actually really hard to carry. They won't fit in a backpack or anything. They're very, very big books. Okay, so there's binders. Now, the last thing that I wanted to talk about is shipping. And so let me pause one more time and I'll get my shipping stuff over here. And then we'll be done. But yeah, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. And this is the final section. We'll be done after this, I promise. But I just wanted to show you kind of how I ship products to people, because I do a lot of trading and selling on the channel. And if I'm trading cards with somebody, I want to make sure the cards get to them in good condition and in good time, but also at a good cost-effective rate, right? Like if someone's trading, $1 or even just rare base cards with me, I don't want to use a bubble mailer and send it, ground shipping, because that'll cost $10, right? I can just use an envelope. And in fact, like this is a perfectly fine way to ship up to like 4 or 5 top-loaded cards. The way you do it is you tape them into the envelope. So what you'll do is you'll take your envelope, you'll write your address and stuff on it or print it or whatever you want to do, and then get your top-loaded cards together and make 2 sets that are about equal. So if you're going to ship like 6, put 3 on each side. That's about it. I wouldn't do more than 6 because once the envelope is too thick, it won't work anymore. They won't allow it through the machine. And also it'll weigh too much. But like 4 should be totally fine for 1 stamp. And so you'll put 2 on top of each other, put a piece of tape over the top, and then put them inside the envelope in this edge, like on the side, and put a piece of tape so that it won't slide around, right? So it stays here. And then put the other one over on this side and put a piece of tape. And then the envelope can fold in the middle, right? Because there's nothing in the middle. The cards are on the side. Because the sorting machines in the facility are going to send the envelope through like this, like a snake, right? And these cards will make it through that machine just fine as long as the middle of the envelope can bend. If the middle of the envelope can't bend, your cards are going to get bent by the machine. And then you want to weigh this. If you don't have a kitchen scale at home, go to the post office and weigh it there. But it's really important because if you don't weigh it, just put 2 stamps. But if it is below 2 ounces, which usually if it has less than 4 cards, it will be, 1 stamp is enough. And so you can actually send, to anywhere in North America for like 35 cents the cards. So very cheap and easy way to ship cards. It is using envelope. Now, once a card is worth more than about $5, that's about my cutoff. I want to send it in a bubble mailer, and so that's what this is. And so this is just a mailer that has some bubble wrap inside of it, and I will put the top-loaded card, usually with a piece of cardboard on the back of it too, in here, and then I will buy a label from Pirate Ship or one of the shipping websites, and I'll actually print the label. So I have this kind of special paper here that I use with my laser printer, and if you line it up right and use their template, it'll print the shipping label onto this sticker, and then you just peel the sticker off, put it right on the front of here. It looks totally professional, very easy, very cool, very quick. And so that's how I ship cards that are worth more than about $5. And I've shipped like $200 cards in bubble mailers before, and it's been totally fine. Now, sometimes people are trading a lot more, right? Like I've traded full collections before. I traded once my entire collection of Twilight cards to somebody. When that happens, you have to use a box, right? And so what's awesome about this hobby is you're getting boxes all the time, right? And so these hard boxes that you get the cards in are great for shipping, actually. And so this is a box I just got recently. I'm preparing a shipment right now for a friend of mine in here. And what I'll do is I'll take this box, I'll put the things I want to ship in there, and I'll put some newspaper in there to kind of hold them in, or I might tape them if I think it'll move around. And then I'll wrap the outside of this with brown paper, and then I'll print a label and put it on there and send it in the mail, right? And it's like such an easy way to ship and reuse the boxes that we already have. Okay, so we've gone through a lot of stuff here. We've gone through how to protect the cards, how to store the cards, how to organize the cards, and how to ship the cards. So I think that's all that I have to teach you about organization and things. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's other stuff I could show you. Like, we could do a whole video on other little accessories, like this cute little thing here, this little easel, right? This is meant for holding cards for display. It looks like a little artist easel, right? And anyway, there's so many little things like that that you can get as part of the hobby to help, enhance and just make it a little more fun for you. But I think the basic things I showed you here are where you should start. Like, definitely start with gloves. I know you probably don't want to, but you should. Start with sleeves, start with top loaders, get a binder, maybe get a box, and then grow from there, right? You don't have to go crazy right away. But everything you saw here is stuff that I use all the time. Like, I don't have this stuff just for fun, right? Like, everything I showed you, I ended up buying because I needed it at some point, right? And I needed it enough that I bought, like a whole box of it. So it will happen to you too if you stay in this hobby long enough. Okay, I hope you learned something here today. If you have something to show me or something to teach me, I'd love to learn it. Leave a comment. And if you have a product that I don't know about, I'd love to learn more, especially anything new or cool or especially neat. But for now, I think we'll end the video there. And yeah, have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.